is called to order. Today is.
Thank you very much.
All right, please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Michael Wagner, 401-877.
All right, Michael, my name's Mr. Kelsey and Ms. Renata and Mr. Freeman will be your panel. We'll have a parole interview, ask you some questions. You can respond. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll take a vote. You understand the process?
Yes, sir.
And we have Keena Vancourt. We have Charles Ward, Suzanne Dana, Judy Perez, Kirby Dana, Dickie Dana, Ashley Dana, Andre Maddox, and Kelly Dare. And we'll have people make statements at the appropriate time. Thank y'all for being here. Michael Wagner, DOC number 401-877. Fifth class offender, parole eligibility date 11/29/2022. Good time at 4/4/2033, full term 2/28/2034. 15-year sentence for vehicular homicide. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, would you answer Ms. Renata's questions, please?
Good morning, Mr. Wagner.
Good morning, Ms. Renata.
Mr. Wagner, how old are you?
44.
I need you to speak up a little bit. I'm having a hard time hearing you. So you're 44. How long you been in jail?
4.5 years.
4.5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're classified as a fifth offender. So I went back and looked at your record. It looks to me like you had been released from paper in November of 2018 for earned compliance credits. Is that right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that was a little early. But this offense happened just about 4 months later.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and tell us what you were under the influence. You were under the influence of what at the time of the wreck?
I was under the influence of methamphetamine, ma'am.
Methamphetamines.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have, as I mentioned, you're a fifth offender and you have a long criminal history across several states. I saw, of course, Louisiana, California, Illinois, and Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me why.
I was a runaway child, ma'am. I left home at a young age, and I've dealt with addictions for a long time, since the age of 13 to be precise. And I've traveled from one state to another, and all the crimes I have committed were all based around my addiction, drug abuse.
So in your application for a parole hearing, you say that you do acknowledge you have a history of drug abuse and addiction. And you talk about a program saying this program is the only treatment I've ever received.
Right.
What program are you speaking of?
This new program from the Department of Corrections, the medically assisted treatment, or MAOD. I've never been introduced to a program like this. From what I understand, it's new, but I do believe in what it's doing, what it stands
How long
for.
have you been in it?
For 1.5 years now.
How long is the program?
1 year.
So you've completed it?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me what you got out of that program.
It lays a foundation and a basis not only for the personal experience of substance abuse, but now to go out and actually have a career that will entail helping other people with the same disorder. And it's the only thing I've ever been introduced to that even gave a semblance of hope of something to do after this. My releases from incarceration, I was always released with a $20 debit card and to a Salvation Army. I never was released from jail with any hope of anything, really. I always fall back into the same traps. I'm sorry that this one happened. I'm sorry that I don't want it to be in vain. I guess the Dana family is here today. I tried to reach out to apologize to them. That I pray for Autumn's forgiveness all the time.
Well,
She didn't make.
we'll hear from them and we'll hear from the district attorney, but just from what I read in the record, they're strongly opposed. They don't think you've done enough time. You entered a plea agreement
Yes,
and you agreed to a 15-year sentence.
yes.
And quite frankly, well, I did look at your, I do see you took a moral recognition therapy, which I guess is included in the MAT program. You have
No,
done
it's
a, are you enrolled in anything right now?
We just completed the second half of the program, of the medically assisted treatment program. We just completed it, yesterday, actually.
Okay.
The second half of the 1-year program. It was broken into 2 6-month,
Okay. I'll just tell you, I'll be honest with you. I'm glad that you got something out of that program. I do think you haven't conquered your addiction yet. I think you would benefit from additional rehabilitation programs. You're at high risk for antisocial thinking. The DOC offers programs to help address with that. You're, of course, you're at risk for substance abuse relapse, and you have some mental health issues, I believe. So I'm just going to sit back and listen to my colleagues and the folks that indicated they want to speak today and see what they got to say.
All right. No, no. All right, we'll hear from, it doesn't matter what order you guys, would Suzanne like to speak first? Unless you have somebody that would like to speak first in any order.
name is Suzanne Dana. I'm Autumn's mother. Autumn was a wonderful young woman who loved people and wanted to make others happy. She was born 7.5 weeks premature. She was hearing impaired and had some gait problems. She fought her entire life to overcome her disabilities. Her greatest joy was in her family and friends. She gave the best of us. If you were having a bad day, she made it her mission to try and make your day better. She was a giver. She was on that full-size truck the day she was killed, visiting family and going to the store to get food for her dogs and for the family. She loved the feeling of independence that had gave her that she could take off and do that for her family. On that day, she was doing good things for other people. She was making good choices. Unfortunately for Autumn and for our family and friends, someone else was making bad choices. Michael Wagner chose to do drugs that day. He chose to get behind the wheel of a car. His choices killed my child, who had never intentionally hurt another person in her life. My heart aches every single day. I will never get a second chance to tell my Autumn that I love her. Never get a second chance to hug and kiss my child. Never get a second chance to hear her voice. Never get a second chance to tell her how proud of her I was. That day, myself, my family, and friends received a light sentence of pain and grief. That day left a huge hole in my heart. I'm living an unnatural life. No parent is supposed to outlive their child. This is the life I have to live now. We were beginning to prepare our children for a life without us. There's no preparation for a life without them. There's a Christian song that has a verse in it that says it talks about a child being taken by illness. I couldn't even sing it. I couldn't even listen to it. Movies where a child was hurt or killed, I couldn't even go there because it hurt my heart. And now I'm living it because no, that is a pain that is unimaginable. My daughter deserves for her life to cost more than 4 years. Autumn lived her life loving people and bringing joy to everyone who met her. Michael Wagner has lived a life in and out of prison cells. This is not his second chance. This is not his 4th or his 5th chance. His continual bad choices have led us here. His choices robbed my daughter of her future, robbed my husband and myself of our daughter. Robbed my parents, John and Judy Perez, of their granddaughter. Robbed my daughter, Autumn and Ashley and Amber, of their sister. Robbed my grandchildren, Lloyd and Stephanie, of their aunt. Robbed the lesson of her friends of somebody who always did her best to make them smile. After 3 years of going through this, every 6 weeks, he was sentenced to 15 years, and we thought without the possibility of parole. Now we're told the rules have changed. Just when we were getting to breathe again. Just when we thought we did not have to give him another thought. Just when we were getting used to the new normal. Just when I can start to think about my Autumn and the joy, and not her cold body in the hospital, or the fact that all I have left is an urn full of ashes. We're here again, fighting for justice for my daughter. At the end of 15 years, he'll be free to live his life, to go to the movies, to make memories. My Autumn will still be dead, and my family will still be grieving. I asked this parole board to give Autumn and our family justice and deny Michael Wagner parole. Give us the peace of knowing that he is still behind bars and unable to harm any other family the way he's harmed us. Deny his parole so that we know that someone other than her friends and family care that she's gone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry. So sorry. Ms. Judy Perez, would you like to make a brief statement?
Name is Judy Ann Perez. I am Autumn's grandmother. She's our firstborn grandchild. And from the very beginning of her life, she was always the sweetest, most loving child. And as she grew up, she got even more caring and loving toward people. I don't know what kind of prisoner that Michael has been for these past few years. I know he has to conform to the rules in prison if he's released. Will he return to the previous behaviors? We don't know. However, I do not want anyone else to go through what our family has. I just know that he was not a model citizen when he was free to make choices for himself. He chose to use drugs. He chose to break the law by driving under the influence. He chose to flee after he struck and killed my granddaughter, Autumn. He was given an opportunity to have a trial, but he chose a plea bargain so he would not have to show his face to group of individuals who would decide his fate. That plea sentenced him to 15 years in prison without opportunity for parole, or at least that's what I understood. Now he wants more. I understand the laws were changed, but that should not be for anyone who is currently being, but that should be for anyone who is currently being tried, not retroactive. He received a fair sentence. He must be held accountable and complete the sentence he was given. Our family has suffered greatly with the loss of our dear Autumn. She was a kind and generous young woman. She was riding her three-wheel bicycle to go home after visiting her aunt at a retirement home. Her bicycle was equipped with red flag designation and a printed sign that said she was hard of hearing. When he did not even slow down after he hit her, those witnessing what happened went after him and made him pull over. Otherwise, he would have just kept going. His words to those who stopped him were, "My life is over." He does not deserve leniency for what he did. We cannot get our family member back, and our Autumn's gone forever. He will be done in 15 years and will still be a relatively young man to continue his life. our family sentence will last for eternity. I ask you not to please not grant him parole. Autumn came out to visit us. We live in New Mexico. And she came out every summer and stayed with us for 4 to 6 months to take care of us. While she was out there, she met many people. Many people just absolutely adored her. Susie and Kirby and the girls all lived in New Mexico for a short period of time. And during that time, she worked at a bowling alley as a daycare, as a child care person. People who worked there adored her, and the children loved her as well. Steve and Dana Mackey, who are the owners and operators of the bowling alley where Autumn worked. And Dana coached Autumn in bowling because she had a gait problem and she would try to bowl and she would have so much problem. And Dana worked with her to the point where she could get a couple of strikes, if not too many, but some. The lady across the street, Lena Schroeder, is an older lady, and Autumn would go over and visit with her and talk to her and see what she needed. That's the kind of person she was. All of these people, and I've got a list, a longer list. I hope that you got that. They wanted to learn how to square dance. Now, if you're hearing impaired, it's awfully hard to square dance. But the people in our organization loved her so much that they worked with her and helped her do those crazy dances. And she absolutely loved it. She says, I can't hear the words, but I can feel the music. I can feel it, and it makes me feel so good. I just ask you to understand the reason that we don't want Mike to be released. We can never be released.
Yes, ma'am.
He at least will be able to be released at a certain period of time. And because of his age, he'll still have a good long life to live.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for your time. So sorry. Does Ashley want to make a brief statement?
Name is Ashley Luna. Autumn is my sister. Autumn was a bright and happy person. She had her bad days, as we all do. Through it all, she maintained good in everything and everyone. She did not let her physical limitations stop her from trying to live an independent and beautiful life. If she saw you having a bad day, she would try her best to brighten your day. But didn't always have the patience for my sister, as I wish to. Calling me a sibling or something in church, whatever it may be, I will always have that guilt and regret, never being able to make it right. I lived in Folsom at the time, and I just got off working a long shift. I had to head to bed soon, wake up bright and early the next morning. I was heading to bed when I received a text message from Autumn saying Hastings. I remember rolling my eyes, ignoring the message, thinking I'll be down there the next day after I get off of work. The following day was March 1st. It's when I received a phone call from a friend asking if I've heard from Autumn, because a coworker of hers came back from a lunch and described the accident she had just witnessed. Fear flooded my body and I ran out of room and called my mom. She was already with the police at the time and en route to the hospital. I drove an hour, the longest hour of my life, just to be informed that she was no longer here on earth. I was never able to tell her how much I loved her, never able to hug her, never able to tell her how sorry I was for not being the best sister. Michael Wagner took her away when he made the decision to do drugs and get behind the wheel of the car. Because of his life choices, my sister, their daughter, granddaughter, niece, and my children's aunt was given a life sentence. From that day forward, our lives were never the same. Grief and agony has become our norm. January 22nd, 2022 is when Michael was finally sentenced to 15 years with no chance of parole. Michael took the plea deal, 15 years with no parole, instead of going to trial where there was a chance for more time. After 3 years of going back and forth to court, constantly having to be taken back to March 1st, we thought we were finally done. Then my family and I can start picking up the pieces that were shattered. But here we are, a year and 7 months later. We all stand in front of the board of parole to plead with you. Once again, Michael Wagner is making us all relive the day he killed my sister. Once again, our lives, small pieces we've managed to try and put together, are shattered once again. After he serves his 15 years, Michael will have his freedom. He will be able to make new memories, travel if he chooses, be able to witness a beautiful sunrise beyond the prison cell, be able to live his life. My sister, however, stopped being able to do any of those things March 1st, 2019. I plead with you all, do not release Michael after 4 years. My sister's life is worth so much more than that.
Thank you. So sorry. Thank you. Mr. Ward, would you like to make a statement to wrap it up?
This is Charles Ward, and I appreciate the offer of the opportunity to make a statement. But following what I've heard from the family, I don't think that there's anything I can say that would add to their expressed wishes. I've handled this case for a while, and it was certainly the understanding at the time of the plea that the 15 years meant 15 years. I understand he's going to get credit for time served, and that was contemplated, but I don't think it was ever contemplated that Mr. Wagner would serve anything less than the full 15 years. So,
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Wagner, would you like to make a statement on your behalf to the board? Speak to the board.
I just apologize to his family for everything. I live with this every day also, you know. It was not intentional. And I can't say I'm sorry enough to them.
All right, thank you. Now prepared to vote. Mr. Hudson.
Mr. Wagner, there's a lot of grief and pain in this room.
Yeah.
You know, and I told you, I don't think you've addressed your addiction fully. So my vote today is going to be to deny your parole based on your prior criminal history, the strong opposition that's been expressed here today, the need for additional rehabilitative program. And I strongly recommend that you seek out and take advantage of victim awareness classes. I think you've been.
The instructor from the class I've been in is actually here right now.
Okay, that's great. Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Wagner, first off, I want to thank the family for showing up today. Unless it's, no, I don't know, but I can tell by listening to y'all. Mr. Wagner, I concur with my colleague. I think you need more treatment for your drugs. I also think that you took a plea bargain, and 4.5 years is just not enough. So my vote is to deny.
All right, 2 votes to deny. I'm also going to vote to deny your parole for the same reasons as stated. 3 votes to deny. Today, your parole's been denied. Good luck to you. We'll adjourn at Clackamas Parish at 8:59.
thank you all. I appreciate it.
Committee on parole is called to order. Today is Thursday, August 31st, 9:15 a.m. My name is Brendan Kelsey, and all me is Ms. Cheryl Knotson and Mr. Pete Freeman, staff supports at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. Where's our remote location? By Dorothy? We were just there. Weren't we just
It's just a different building.
different building? No, same building, just.
Same.
Same
Okay.
place, Yana.
Same place, gotcha, same place. All right, staff support, please introduce yourself again, please, for the record.
Yes, sir. It's Major Culpepper, Webster Parish.
And Jason Johnson, Sex Offender Treatment Unit, and Steve Orr.
All right, thanks. Ready for our first case, please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
My name is Tavares Hopkins. My DOC number is 1003665.
That's not it. When's your birthday?
Second month, 13 date,
Of what year?
2000 a year.
Okay, your DOC number is 7575541.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's it. Yes, sir.
Ferris Hopkins, DOC number 7575541. You're a first class offender, parole eligibility date 6/16/2023. Good time, not eligible for eligibility, full term date 10/16/2026, a 5-year sentence. Indecent behavior with a juvenile. Does that sound correct? It looks
Yes,
like
sir.
Revoked in 11/3/2022. All right, would you, and then we have Miss Jennifer Lewis here that'll speak at the appropriate time. Would you answer Miss Renata's questions, please?
Good morning, Mr. Hopkins. Mr. Hopkins, so you said your birthday was in 2000, so that makes you 23 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were initially afforded probation for this offense, weren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Placed on supervision. And then it looks like you absconded for about a year. Is that right? How'd you do on probation?
Well, at first, I started off, all right, but then like once I had got the charge and I had got on probation, like everything went rocket for me. Like, it was hard to find jobs and I missed the payment on my registry and that caused me to come back to jail. I take full action of what I did.
But it says you absconded, so you didn't report to your probation officer like you were supposed to.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't have any vehicles, and I was just doing.
You have access to a telephone?
Yes, ma'am. From time to time.
All right, so those are poor decisions on your.
Yes, ma'am. I take.
You've been in jail since October of 21, about 18 months. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And it looks to me like in your history in 2017, you have another arrest for carnal knowledge or indecent behavior. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And in your case for this particular offense, how old was your victim?
15 or 16, ma'am. One of those. 15 or 16.
She was 12.
Oh, okay, 12. I already know.
You knew that. The court papers say 12. How did you know her?
I met one day. I was outside my grandmother's house, and we met right there. She was walking from the store, ma'am.
So she's just walking in front of your grandmother's house?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. And that's how we met. That's how we met, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I take
How long
full account-
have
How long have I known her for? Like, I guess about 6-7 years. I guess yes, about 6-7 years.
So you knew she was 12. Are you enrolled in, what programs are you enrolled in?
The risk management. I'm enrolled in risk management and empathy and awareness, ma'am.
Good. How long you been in the risk management program?
For a month and a half.
So you just got started with it?
Yes, ma'am. And I tell you, ma'am, it's changing my whole life, ma'am.
Good. You're learning something from it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear it. All right. Well, let me ask the staff there. How's he doing in the program?
There are no issues so far. He's expected to graduate about a year from now.
Okay, good. Thank you. No questions.
All right, thanks. All right, we're here for Miss Jennifer Lewis now. Would you like to make a statement, Miss Lewis?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. When he was out, he was doing good with his probation and trying to work. He was working and trying to take care of his children, plus pay his rent and all his bills. And I had just relocated to Monroe, Louisiana. And he relocated over, and he couldn't live with me because I had an underage daughter at the time. So he had to get his own place. And so with that, I think he was doing like the best that he could at the time. And I tried to help him. If he would have just told me like he was still paying on that probation fees. He was paying his probation fees. It's just the registering that he didn't fully pay. I think he owed like $100 more or something at the time that they revoked his probation. Like I say, he was working real good. He had just got him a new car, working 2 jobs, and some things were slipping his mind. He was a young man out here, fresh on his own, newly on his own, never been on his own, and having to juggle that much. And I tried to help him as much as I could, but at the time I had just moved over, trying to do, pay my bills and trying to work 2 jobs to stay on my feet at the time. But if he was released, I would be able to help him even more now, because I've been over here a few years now. So.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for your comment. All right, Tavares, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir. A part of the parole committee, I will ask all of y'all to, if y'all could, when y'all alone, y'all could say a prayer for me. I had just recently lost my son this Tuesday. I just asked if y'all say a prayer for me, and I can honestly tell y'all, like, man, with the loss of, this right here has been the hardest thing I ever been through, and I never want to put nobody child through what I put that woman child through again. So I never in my life ever again make this mistake. I never do it again, sir. I never do it again. I mean it from the bottom of my heart, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comment. Panel, prepare to vote. Mr. Knotson.
Mr. Hopkins, I'm sorry for the loss of your son, and I will say that prayer. I am excited and encouraged by your enthusiasm about what you've gotten so far out of the program that you're enrolled in. And I think you need to complete that program. So my vote today is going to be to deny your parole and give you time to complete that program. And if there's time, I would like you to reapply for parole once you complete the program. Good luck to you, sir.
Yes,
All right. Mr. Freeman.
I concur.
And I voted to deny your paroles for the same reasons. To complete that program, it'll really do you some good, and you'll be able to get out and get going. 3 votes to deny. Today, your parole's been denied. Good luck to you. We'll adjourn at 9:23. Thank you, guys.
all right.